here in Poland, though. This is just a fantastic, a dream assignment, and I'm here with my family, my husband, 2 children, and our dog.
Yes. Let me start with the first question. What has been your most memorable moment so far while representing the United States here in Poland?
That's a great question, and I'm very fortunate that there have been so many phenomenal and memorable moments in my short time here already. I've just been here about 10 months and have had the great fortune to see and explore quite a bit of Kraków and southern Poland. I think the most memorable moment of all of these, and particularly in my professional capacity, was a trip that I took to Auschwitz-Birkenau. It was my first time visiting a concentration camp, and I know that the U.S. government also works with the Auschwitz-Birkenau Foundation on matters of Holocaust remembrance, among the many partnerships that we have here in Poland. And for me personally, it was a deep and enriching experience because I had family who left Germany during the Holocaust. My grandfather did, as a Jewish person, and eventually landed in the United States, and that's why I exist. But not all of his family was so fortunate. So being able to visit the camp and see the experience of my own personal history, generations past, along with the history of so many other Poles and groups from around Europe and all over the world at that site was really awe-inspiring to think about just the depth of that history. But conversely, I think the attention to the memory paid at places like that and in these kinds of educational institutions has allowed me to meet people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And that's for certain the positive highlight so far of my time here. It's each and every person I've been able to meet along the way.
You've mentioned history. I'd like to hear your thoughts then on the shared values and historical ties. The 2020s are a special period in Polish-American relations. In 2019, we celebrated the 100th anniversary of the establishment of official diplomatic relations. In 2024, the U.S. Consulate General in Krakow celebrated its 50th anniversary. This year, we are celebrating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the United States Declaration of Independence, a milestone to which Poles are also contributed through the efforts of Kazimierz Pułaski and Tadeusz Kościuszko during the American War of Independence. In turn, President Woodrow Wilson included in his peace program specifically point 13, that was 13, the call for, I'm going to quote it, the creation of the independent Polish state on territories inhabited by indisputably Polish populations with free access to the sea. Decades later, the administration of President Ronald Reagan provided significant support to the solidarity movement in the 80s. Do you see parallels between Poland's historical struggles for sovereignty and the American war, struggles for independence, story of independence?
I definitely see some parallels there. I think this is, I don't want to draw too close of a comparison either, though, because the history of Poland goes back far more than 250 years. Just this last fall, I remember going through the Rynek Główny and seeing 1,000 years of Krakow being celebrated. I was like, oh, and we're celebrating 250. We've got a while to go along the way. But I think America, particularly during the Revolutionary War period, learned a great deal about resilience and strength of spirit from its Polish partners and has continued to over the years. I think our shared values in terms of understanding the gift that we are given of our freedoms and our right the rights of man and consent to governance are things that both of our countries have held quite dear, and that Poland has had to fight for at various periods in its history, America as well. And I think we all know how it's hard won, and then we have to treasure it as well along the way.
Yeah, I mean, building on what you've said, I would like to add some personal touch to this historical ties between the nations. Well, I've got it with me. I'm going to show you a document which I discovered it when I was preparing for this conversation. Well, we are going to show it to the cameras in a second, and I'm going also to translate it. But basically, this is a document signed by a group of teachers in 1926, so 100 years ago. And as a matter of fact, it is a letter of congratulations. And this is one of the hundreds of letters of congratulations sent by the Polish education, by the teachers. And it was sent to honor and commemorate the anniversary, the 150th anniversary at that time. And that was, I believe, also a sign of, or a way of showing that we remember and we appreciate the support of President Wilson back in 1918. I'm going to quote it, the translation. It says, Polish education in tribute to the American nation in commemoration of the 150th anniversary of independence of the USA. And one of those teachers was my husband's great-grandfather. So here is this document. Well, I think it's really nice to see such things.
I think that's an incredible piece of history that you've just found around the home, I guess, or in the family files, and in the attic. Gosh, and it just really goes to show how those deep ties have connected at so many levels over the years as well, and down generations as well.
Generations, yes. I'd like to also now to move on a bit and to change the topic to the meaning of this anniversary. The title of today's talk is United States of America, 250 Years of Freedom. So let's look at the signing of the United States Declaration of Independence. What does this moment of your history mean to Americans today? And what does it mean to you personally?
Well, I think the beautiful thing about a shared history is the different way it can be experienced by everybody. So I wouldn't want to say anything too broad about how all Americans would view the signing of the Declaration of Independence, but I do think that it's a part of our history that is widely known and understood by such a broad portion of the citizenry. Almost every school child can quote parts of the Declaration of Independence. Any state of the original 13 colonies that later became states that sent our founding fathers to draft and to sign the Declaration of Independence, school children there have visited those sites where the copy of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence lay as well. So I think it stands as a symbol of, the Declaration itself stands as a symbol of shared understanding and knowledge about what was fought for in the American War for Independence. And that has stood the test of time, again, throughout generations in the United States. Learning about it in a similar way, I think, and this is turning a little bit more into my point of view as well, I think one of the most fascinating aspects about it is how the Declaration of Independence turned into the U.S. Constitution and how the Constitution has changed over the years. We've had amendments to it. So these are all living documents, and shows that it's not a country in a static snapshot in time, but that the American experiment, the great American experiment, continues to exist and evolve in many ways. So to me, the evolution of the Declaration of Independence and its follow-on documents really shows how we grow and change as a country and as a culture over the years as well.
Well, I've seen that when you mentioned the children at in every school they celebrate and they know the parts of the Constitution. I remember that was quite when I was in the United States visiting schools. That in fact in each and every school the children gathered in the gym in the morning at 8 o'clock and they sang.
And the Pledge of Allegiance as well,
yes,
right?
Yes, so that was clearly visible. All right. Okay, and in your opinion, which founding ideals are still relevant today? If you had to name just let's say 3.
Okay. I think I would probably start with the idea of the consent of the governed and how that is exemplified in every election that we see in the United States and in any democracy, really. The consent of the governed is about an electoral process that gathers information from people, gathers their votes, and sets up a representative system of the people. It's not always perfect. Your guy or girl doesn't always win, but we honor those results and see it carried forward. And that's something the founding fathers had to deal with as well. I just finished reading a biography of George Washington, and I was, not being an expert in this history otherwise, I was actually somewhat surprised that he had such a challenging relationship with Thomas Jefferson, particularly at the end of his life. I think I'd always imagined them to just be friends, and
they weren't.
Not at the end, yeah. So that was a bit new to me. But I think they were still professional. They still cared about the country, and I think that's what we see in it now. And that kind of leads into the second part of the values in there that I think are still really critical, which is the ability to have open discourse about our differences and the challenges and the way that we may approach solving our shared problems as well. There's still space to do that in the United States and any democratic country as well. So freedom of speech is really critical to that end. And I guess the third is the enduring power of alliances. That might mean political across party lines in order to pass legislation in a country, but it also means geopolitical and international as well. And we saw that with Poland being one of our first international friends to the United States after the Revolutionary War had concluded, early alliances and early treaties even with our former king in the United Kingdom as well, in Britain long ago. So these alliances have endured, and it's because of these shared principles that are written in different languages on different pieces of paper over the years.
Yes, well, let's change a bit again. I'd like to address your personal connection to Poland. As you said at the very beginning in the introduction stage, you are a child of diplomats, a globetrotter. Yes. Part of generation referred to as diplobrats, and diplomacy is in your blood, truly. Now, how about Poland? What do you like about Poland?
Can I say I like everything about Poland, or is
yes,
that too
you can,
easy an answer?
Or you can also list.
I'll give you specifics as well. I've really deeply enjoyed my time here. I mentioned my one grandfather originally from Germany. My grandmother on my father's side is from Slovakia. So, and they're from a part of Slovakia that is quite close to the Polish border as well. So,
meaning the mountains?
Meaning a little further west. So I haven't been there yet, and that's my goal, is to travel. We still have cousins, so I want to go to the village and meet the cousins and all of that as well. It was my grandmother's parents who were born there, so not too far removed. But for Poland specifically, it's a wonderful kind of meeting space to me of some of the different cultural upbringing and traditions that I've seen, but obviously with a very specific Polish flair in some of it. I think Polish food is fantastic, so that's been a real highlight of my time here, even though my favorite food choices are maybe controversial in some circles. But I have greatly enjoyed it. I think I may have forgotten how you phrased your question. What am I enjoying about Poland?
Yes, yes, generally yes. So
Yes.
because you said that everything, well, you can be specific about traditions or food. Any places that are your favorite places?
I think I'm still exploring. I think the number one thing is just Polish people. Everyone that I've been able to meet along the way, starting with our amazing team, my colleagues at the consulate as well. We have 59 local staff, employees, almost all Polish at the consulate, and I've learned so much from them. And they they pretend to not be laughing when they hear me trying to speak Polish, and they're very gentle and kind with me about that as well. But I found Poles to be incredibly warm and welcoming, especially to people who want to know them and understand the culture and make attempts at the language as well. So, and I think that really fights some stereotypes out there about, always having a serious face. While behind that is a really warm and welcoming group of people. And it's a beautiful country, everything from the sea to the mountains. I have not been to the sea yet, so going to the Tri-Cities area is on my list to do for the summer. And being able to travel through cities like Wrocław and Rzeszów and up to Warsaw has really been a gift. I am constantly having to just pinch myself and wonder how lucky I am that this gets to be my professional job, is to go and do this work and meet people and visit such amazing places.
Yeah, I hope you have more time to explore the beauty of the east, of the west of Poland.
Can I get everyone to provide me a list of recommendations before we leave here as well?
I think so. Yeah, I will open the floor for questions from the audience. So then we will go. Yes, it's a great idea. All right. Let's look at the present day cooperation and diplomacy. I think it's one of the most important questions of what is the role, in fact, of Consul General in promoting American values abroad?
Well, I think in a place like Poland, that ends up looking a lot more like stressing our shared values as well. In many ways and many days, my job is quite easy because Poles and Americans do just agree on so much. We sometimes have different ways of getting to the same desired outcome, but we all want to live in a safe world where we are free to express our opinions and live and work and survive from the day to day. So as the Consul General, part of my job is working on the underpinning that helps to support those relationships. So here in southern Poland, where 44% of Poland's GDP is generated, where there are 600 American companies, that means a lot of economic and commercial diplomacy on that front as well. So that may be working with American companies who are trying to develop in the Polish market and provide competitive services. And sometimes that means working with Polish companies and encouraging investment in the United States. A small manufacturer of flooring tiles who has a portion of his manufacturing done in North Carolina. So it's a lot of these small connections that really bring us all together, and embassies and consulates and consul generals like me are able to make those connections and build the framework from which hopefully some of the big policy decisions can come through. I would say the second, though in many ways it's the most important thing we do, is the consular services work. So my colleagues in our consular section, they are responsible for visa decisions, but they are also responsible for the care and well-being of American citizens overseas. So that means the lost passports, and that means the people who are maybe facing a parental child abduction or law enforcement issues as well. So the good and the bad, the way we care for American citizens is something that our embassies and consulates and people in my position hold quite close to heart.
Well, I think I have no questions here. Yes, good. We are participating in Portraits of America, which is an initiative co-organized by our association, an association which unites the participants of the U.S. Department of State programs. I'm one of them. How important for you are the cultural exchanges, education, people-to-people ties?
So critical. I mean, people-to-people ties are certainly exemplified in these cultural programs, but if you're doing the job right, it's in everything you're doing. There is no part of what I do that isn't dependent on people. This is the definition. Diplomacy is a human business. But that said, people-to-people ties, as executed through these kinds of cultural exchange programs, are so fascinating, and seeing the endless, to me, to see the endless possibilities and outcomes of it. So to introduce myself to some of the people sitting in this room right here, and just hearing not enough, frankly, about the programs that you may have been on or your travels or experiences in the United States. I am constantly thrilled when I hear people's stories coming back from the US, especially the first time, but maybe the 100th time, of something new you experienced, whether it's good or bad, but a new part of the United States that you saw, because we're such a richly diverse country in the US that I couldn't even begin to guess at how much is out there. So I'm learning something every time I meet a Polish person who's come back from the United States. And I think the diversity of a lot of these specific programs, like within the IVLP, for example.
Yes, IVLP, Fulbright programs, Open World.
All of them. Cooperation with either educational institutions, government institutions, civil society, et cetera. It's, I wish I could participate myself, honestly. But learning from people's lived experiences is incredibly fascinating, and I'm just one person, right? Someone comes back from a program overseas, and you touch how many lives based on the experiences that you underwent there. Maybe it's professional, maybe it's educational or personal, but even when we're not consciously thinking about it, these kinds of experiences inform how we act and relate with others, and I think it does a great deal to continue to build alliances and shared understanding over time.
I couldn't agree more. Well, in fact, here, yes, we've got some participants like IVLP, but not only. So yes, this is what matters. Let's talk about anniversary in southern Poland now. About the celebrations themselves. Mm-hmm. Because they continue throughout the year, and not only there are not only events on July the 4th, and not only in Krakow, but across southern Poland. So what events or initiatives have already taken place, and what are your plans for the next 6 months?
Great question. Now I get to be a little promoter among it as well.
Here is time.
Yeah. So I think what's really fun, honestly, about celebrating this 250th anniversary is that it's not just one day. It's not a a single birthday celebration. It's a milestone event that we're able to celebrate throughout the year and to honor different aspects of American and Polish American history as well. So, for example, recently concluded is a tour of the U.S. Air Force band in Europe and Africa band. Thank you. We like our acronyms in the U.S. government as well. And this fantastically talented group of men and women came out of Germany, and they did a tour of several sites in southern Poland performing concerts along with the Wrocław Military Orchestra as well, partners there. So seeing Polish and American musicians coming together to put on a show for Polish audiences, sold out in most of these venues from Bolesławiec to Opole to Kraków and Rzeszów. No, not that far west. Częstochowa, Kielce. I got to see it 3 times. It was great. The musicians were super talented. And so that's one cultural component, and maybe you can catch the band when they, hopefully we'll be able to bring them back in a couple of years as well to do another tour. Or our colleagues in Warsaw will bring them up north.
I haven't had a chance to listen to them, so maybe yes.
We will make sure you get a ticket
please.
Next time too. We also have a traveling exhibition that is set to be mounted soon, but talking about American innovation, American first. And that will be much more publicly available and shared and focusing on that innovation side. We're, of course, going to celebrate with a birthday party next month, so a little bit in advance of the 4th of July. And we actually began our celebrations of the 250th anniversary at Kosciuszko Mound, so a really critical site of shared Polish and American history right here in Kraków. Being able to reflect on how historical figures and heroes like Kosciuszko and others not just helped lead to the success of the Revolutionary War, although they did, but they contributed to the success of the United States in the years afterwards. So, for example, Kosciuszko's work in establishing West Point, the military academy, is a prime example of that. So taking a lot of these smaller stories and different pieces of culture or history or music or the arts has been a joy to brainstorm over the years and think about how we can bring it to life here in Poland.
There is also one more when it comes to education, and it's going to take place in June.
Be your own boss.
Be your own boss.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. So it's going to be in Nowochódzkie Centrum Kultury.
It is, and I just saw an Instagram post up at Embassy Warsaw flagging that as well. So we're calling for youth participants, the high school level in particular, who want to learn more about entrepreneurship and innovation and how to be your own boss. Because I think that this world that we live in is being so deeply shaped and so quickly shaped by technology and shifting economies that people, and especially kids who want to strike out on their own and make their own success, we want to help give them a foot up and cooperate and make sure that they have the best chance possible to do that.
I'm sure it's going to be successful. I've seen the program, so not only presentations of the businessmen, so they can see the real business, but also workshops. That would be the second day, and even silent disco. So something for
silent disco. I might have to ask to be invited to that part. So.
Yes.
They don't want an older person like me there, though. That's
we can join them. I think we can join them. What would you want us, the Polish audience, to feel or take away from this anniversary?
It's a really tough question. I think just... Well, gosh, thank you for being a part of our history over these past 250 years. And and a toast to being able to continue to 250 more. I think that the Polish and American histories have been so intertwined and intermingled. And you see this in places like Chicago and Wisconsin, where many Americans of Polish heritage, they think they are Polish too, right? That's how they identify, because to them the culture is still so deeply ingrained. So the fact that many Polish families were able to come to the United States over the years, establish themselves, establish generations of families, never forget their Polishness either, as they completely assimilated into American life, I think shows the depth of those connections. So I'm certainly very appreciative of the alliances and longstanding ties between our two countries that have brought us together.
We are happy to be a part of it, yes. We've got the last, but by no means the least important question. If you had to explain the spirit of an American independence to a young person from Poland in one sentence, what would you say?
I actually wrote this down because I knew you were going to ask
Just
me one sentence. I was like,
sentence.
I have a hard time saying anything in one sentence. It's people. The people are the heart of the United States and just like of any country. So that's the greatest asset that any country can have, is its citizenship and the energy and creativity that they bring every day to making their country, making the United States a place worth growing up in for every child in the United States.
Okay, I think it's time to open the floor for questions. Questions and comments.
Hello, my name is Rafał. I'm from the Alumni Association. We're talking about 250 years, so we're talking about the past. But how you see today's Polish-American relations? Is it a friendship? Is it a regular relation between two countries? Or is it harsh, very harsh friendship between two guys? How you see that?
Well, you're asking how I see it.
Yes.
And
I know it's very difficult, but
I do know opinions can vary, and I think that's the beautiful thing about people in a democracy, is having these kinds of opinions, especially between our two countries. But I really see this as a true friendship and a special relationship that continues and is poised to continue in the future as well. I think that is exemplified by the communication between our leaderships and the constant interest that we see all the time of American political leaders and just senior government officials constantly traveling here to Poland, wanting to talk with Polish leadership as well, Polish civil society. There has been only an increase in dialogue and a desire to dialogue further between the two countries. And I think that's because at the end of the day, that friendship and that alliance is there and it's strong. But it's a reminder that sometimes we have to work to keep it strong as well. So it takes that effort.
I may add one more thing. You were asking about some proposals for Consul General to visit during the vacation, so it's not very far from Krakow, so if you may to visit the biggest desert in Europe, yes please do, because I don't know if you've seen. If not, you should go and visit the biggest desert in Europe. It's not very far, it's 35 kilometers from Krakow. So
I heard about that there's a desert in Poland. I didn't realize it was that large, so I definitely have to go out there. 30 kilometers, that's all? Oh, I'm out there this weekend, maybe. So
Another proposition is to visit the Polish village of the name Ameryka. You may go there and check it out, how it is in Poland.
where Is that the one with the live action reenactment of? No, it's just a town called America.
Not exactly America.
America.
Not America.
Sorry.
No, but you're close. I have another question which is down to the earth, and it's about the pure admin work or maybe consular work that you do every day. During the first Trump administration, the U.S. ambassador to Poland, Georgette Mosbacher, if you remember, she was working very hard to get the visa-free travel or movement of people from Poland to the United States. And she succeeded. And here there was a big Saliu who was also working on it very hard. And I remember him asking us, this group and the other groups, the people close to the United States to apply, and our families to apply, and our good friends to apply, because that way we were just improving the statistics. And so those 3% was
well, you did it.
we
Congratulations.
did it. Yeah, I asked 100 friends, to apply because they were supposed to get this visa. But my point is now, do you experience any infringements, or let's call it, of this procedure, or maybe do we create any problems? Because my explanation, I'm sorry for this long sentence, but I'm coming to the point. That way, all the queues, in the front of the building in the Stolarska Street were eliminated, and they're happy now. But now, given the announcement 2 or 3 days ago about green card applications in the home country or homeland, do you expect the queues again in front of their office? And so actually 2 questions. Any problems with this procedure, let's say? It is called ETS? How is it called?
It's the visa waiver program.
Visa waiver program. And second, what consequences of this decision about the green cards do you expect? Thank you.
So thank you for that. I think the success of the visa waiver program is best exemplified by the fact that it continues to exist, right? So Poles are traveling to the United States, returning, and the program is working exactly how it should be to facilitate Polish travelers into the United States. I do not expect any green card applicants in Krakow, but that is because we do not do immigrant visas in Krakow. Those are all done at the embassy in Warsaw. So they work on immigrant visa processing, and I think posts around the world will have to assess that work. Washington will really help us to do that distribution, and we'll see if anything changes. But having worked at a variety of posts that maybe have extraordinarily high volume of visa applicants every day, I've seen how the Department of State has taken great pains to professionalize this and really work with private sector companies, consultants from places like Disney that know line management to try and improve the experience for the client, the visa seeker as well, and make it more orderly and less stressful for everyone involved. So I believe that even when policies like this go into effect, I'm pretty confident that we won't see a chaotic scene in front of any of our embassies or consulates.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let me share with you a small comment ended with a question, and I'll try to answer a little bit on the Rafał question about the current state of the Polish-American relations. My name is Jacob. I'm a journalist, but also a researcher focused on the Euro-Atlantic or transatlantic relations, especially on the security and the military affairs. So I spent a lot of time with troops, writing about the troops. It's necessary to understand them. So I'm sharing time with them on the military exercises, on the presentations. So I spoke a lot with Polish soldiers which have opportunity to serve in Afghanistan, in Iraq. Some of those were special forces which share the duty with the American troops as well. So they established some kind of the brotherhood among them. So still they are in touch, they are visiting each other. So both U.S. soldiers, retired U.S. soldiers, are arriving to Poland to visit their friends. Polish soldiers are spending vacation in the U.S., sharing common experience, but also something beyond, this kind of friendship beyond of military service. So I think it's a part of this relations between Poland and America. But I have also a question. How important for you and for your office right now is having a lot of U.S. troops now in southern Poland, like in Rzeszów, but also in Katowice, in Wrocław, Poznań. Is it an important, significant part of your work right now?
Well, part of my work is certainly liaising with Polish and U.S. military every day. So some of that involves coordinating on security assistance issues as it relates to Poland and to Ukraine. And then, of course, working with the private sector defense industry companies that have those interests in connecting the right partnerships, along with my colleagues at the embassy in Warsaw. I think Poland has, it's not just what I think, Poland has been an outstanding model ally in terms of hosting U.S. troops and just creating a welcoming environment and physical infrastructure for them that that goes beyond any sense of duty and straight into hospitality, basically, as well. And I think that gets to establishing that kind of sense of brotherhood, sisterhood that you see between individuals as well. In some of the bases that I've been able to visit where American and Polish troops are co-located, you see a seamless working relationship between many of them. These are all professionals that are united under a common mission and common goal. So I think that partnership is and will continue to be essential for our shared security.
Cool. And let me share one more experience, this time my personal one. Whilst the part of the IVLP program, we visited many great places like the universities in Washington, D.C. We've been on the university in Iowa, but I think the most memorable experience, it was the meeting in the small high school on the outskirts of Boston and speaking with your American teenagers. I was really pleased how smart those young people were. So, well, I was sure that you could be safe about the next generation.
That's great. That's very reassuring to hear. Wait, don't turn the mic yet. I want to know, what did you guys talk about with the high school students?
Actually, they have a lot of questions for us about Europe, about our European experience, and they ask us, of course, how we are feeling visiting the America, knowing better your system. We have, marvelous lectures before in Washington about the federalization and how the America is working. So, it was great. It was a great experience. But, those kids ask us very detailed questions about Europe. So I think they were deeply prepared to meet us. And, they've done really good research, not only just scrolling the internet or just Google, okay, what is the Europe? Okay, so this is Europe. Okay, so we ask about, I don't know, Eiffel Tower in Paris. No, there were really good questions about how we are working as journalists in our countries, how our political systems are working. So we are really pleased and impressed by the knowledge and the desire to know more, to know better us.
That's great to hear. And likewise, every time I've met with a group of Polish school children, like high schoolers or university students, I feel the same way. I feel really a lot of hope and confidence looking at this next generation, their sense of global awareness on things as well. So I'm glad you experienced the same in return.
For sure.
My name is Małgorzata, and you mentioned several times in different ways about people. So I would like to ask you, when you compare Polish and American people living in Krakow right now, what do you think? What they are the biggest differences and biggest similarity? I mean, maybe attitude, behavior. What is your expression about this? Similarity and differences.
one of the differences that actually always comes to the top of my mind is the one that I live with every day, or every day that or most days when I'm taking a photo, perhaps with Polish counterparts or colleagues. My question in the back of my head is, oh no, should I smile? Like, are we smiling for this photo? So we Americans, we tend to smile. And I think that is something that you can see out when tourists are out and about. Again, though, like I said, that doesn't, it doesn't mean there's not a warmth and a depth of welcoming behind maybe a bit of a straight face instead. But Americans definitely are expressive in our facial features and in our actions as well. And I think that's one key difference. Our similarities are really endless because we're all human at the end of the day too. But I think you also, yeah, well, but we don't all speak Polish. That's certainly. There are. I think one of the things that I enjoy also hearing about the most in terms of similarities is the shared traditions, the things that people bring into their homes, the Polish Christmas. I don't think I ever saw a carp in the bathtub when I was growing up in the United States, but a seafood tradition at dinner is not uncommon among Americans as well, and seeing some of those Polish traditions and respect for history and respect for where you come from and your ancestors is something I think we carry in both of our cultures.
Thank you.
By the way, every time I'm back from the United States, my son stops smiling.
My kids tell me to stop talking to strangers, and I'm embarrassing them. So.
Talking to strangers is the best part.
Exactly.
From America, they always smile. Yeah. It's like you always know who is from America.
Yeah, perhaps building a little bit on what we are just discussing. You mentioned that you lived in quite many countries in your life, and it's been at least my experience that sometimes by being in so many places around the world, I start seeing things about my home country that I've never really noticed before, and I start to appreciate them more and more. And I wonder if that's been your experience, and if yes, what did you start to love about America after serving abroad for so many years?
That's a great question. I think, so I've served in some countries that do not have any sense of a national park system. I know you have them here in Poland, so this is certainly an exception. But after some years overseas, returning to the United States and being able to visit a variety of national parks and see different climates and environments, my husband and I took a road trip before we went to Afghanistan. So we were able to see Arches National Park and Canyonlands in Utah. And then we drove and saw Mount Rushmore and Badlands National Park in South Dakota. Oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble for not remember. I think South Dakota. So I really appreciated that system that was set up and honoring national parks. And then a lot of it's just the little things, like being able to see a childhood friend that when I'm living in Virginia, which my family has done for a number of years, something that's not obviously easy to do here in Poland, or getting my favorite brand of breakfast cereal that is a different manufacturing. So those little things, the people and the little things are what really makes a place a home. But I think I've been fortunate to develop the kinds of relationships in the places that I go that every place starts to feel like home a little bit after a while. I'm from Northern Virginia, so Falls Church, right outside of Washington, D.C. Grew up in Springfield. So my mother is from Texas, El Paso, and my father is from the Philadelphia area. So they met overseas themselves. They were both in the Foreign Service, and they met in El Salvador.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so my name is Stanisław and I'm a member of a young association of young diplomats in Poland. And my question will be exactly about diplomacy. So, as you said earlier, the current many people can have different opinion of the current state of the relations between U.S. and Polish government. But my question is like, in the end, no matter what the situation will be with the relations between USA government and Polish government, will the people-to-people initiatives, like for example this or many, many more you are actually planning, are the ones that will preserve this sense of brotherhood or sisterhood between Polish people and American people?
I certainly think they're an essential part of that. And I think that's well recognized by our colleagues in Washington as well. So we are right now working on candidates for the upcoming set of IVLP years, identifying future leaders that can participate in these programs and travel to the United States and maybe sit in this room someday as alumni as well. I think there are certainly some changes and different priorities that every administration will put into place, especially in programs like this, but the continued existence is what really fuels the day-to-day communication and the building of that.
Okay, and one last thing, but it will be very quickly and will be a recommendation. I recommend visiting this little town called Las Corona. It's a small town, but it's very beautiful, very scenery.
Lots of heads nodding in agreement. Okay.
Yeah, it is very beautiful.
What's so special about it?
Well, everything, but I would say this architecture is quite scenery. Sometimes it feels like out of a fairy tale or like some fantasy book.
Oh, is it the painted wooden houses too? They're just the wooden houses. Okay.
But this village you should visit as well. The pine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I would like to add one more initiative that the consulate is organizing to the list, as we are talking about people to people. So sport. This time it's sports, and it's a game between Kraków Kings and Wrocław Panthers. It is also an initiative to celebrate 250th anniversary next Saturday. So Juvenia Stadium, football pitch, please come. It will be fun. It will be a lot of American atmosphere, not only the game, and it's open to everybody.
It's an American football game.
Yeah.
So that they'll be playing just like the Super Bowl. Well, maybe not just like the Super Bowl, but the true American experience with a tailgate and a good game. And I'll be there tossing the coin. I think they're going to let me do at the beginning of the game. And I think it should be a lot of fun.
Let me get back to Anna, to your personal touch about your grandpa, because you mentioned he signed this.
Yes, I did.
I
did. That was in 1926.
Yes, I did
yes.
already find that it
What did
was
you
the Polish Declaration of Admiration and Friendship for the United States. And of course, it was in 1926. And actually, it was 111 books
of letters.
Of letters, signed letters, and by children and the authorities of Polish authorities. All those books are in the library of the Congress of the United States. So you may see how we celebrated 150 years
Yes, the
of
anniversary.
your independence.
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
So
Yes.
that's the document we can see.
I'll have to maybe visit the Library of Congress and see if there's that many books, I'll never be able
Yeah,
to
this
find
is
one.
just yeah. So you will see the originals there. If there are there any more questions or comments? I think yes. So we are running out of time now. So I'd like to finish by inviting to the next talk, which is going to take place on the 25th of June. Am I mistaken?
It will be about the American green cities.
Green cities, smart cities,
Of
green
America.
cities.
Correct.
Okay. The greenfield, yes. Okay, so that was Portraits of America, Portrety Ameryki, which is a joint initiative of Stowarzyszenie Alumni, Klub Tygodnika Powszechnego, and Piwnica Powszechna. Our special guest today was Gretchen Cureton, the head of U.S. Consulate General in Krakow, and that was me, Anna Jurczak, a teacher and learning journalist. Thank you, Gretchen. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. And already I have a list of places I need to go to. Yes, absolutely. Thank you all.